Hello.
How are you?
John and Alejandra.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
You're right.
Hello.
How are you?
I was trying to press buttons, but there's no
You know, that worked.
Okay,
It
did it
did.
work?
Yeah, I didn't know it worked, but it did.
If you don't fake it, then you're cool.
So Alexandra had a fun night last night at Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was pretty interesting. It's an interesting group of people that we know. Everybody's from a different backgrounds, and you would think that at a certain age you will mature mentally. No, you do not. So there's lawyers, there are doctors, there are people from really different, really different backgrounds, and the things we were doing yesterday, we were swinging off the acro yoga scarf, learning how to hang upside down. There's a trampoline, one of our friends. It's a multi-unit building, and there's lots of friends living in the same building. So girlfriend that was throwing the Friendsgiving shit at party downstairs, and then there's Alex that lives upstairs, and in his apartment he happened to have a gigantic trampoline. So people were jumping on the trampoline. Like, he had a climbing wall, and he had a wall full of swords. So people were practicing like ninja skills. It's pretty interesting.
He sounds like he had the ultimate. Was he single? Bachelor pad.
He is a yes.
Want to play at my dungeon? There's like some nice swords and a trampoline.
In there. But yeah, so that was nice. How about you? Did you do anything yesterday?
We went to, what did we do yesterday with my husband? We love going to antiquing. We're like in the, kind of like in, we bought a condo last year, so we have a lot of stuff, but we've been decorating it and on a mission to find specific stuff. So, and also we've had like this, I guess, hobby for a long time that we like going to antique stores, markets, whatever. So there was like a market that I had been to. This was before COVID. And, right now with Christmas, it's like, hey, let's go because there might be something. And we found like 2 presents. And earlier in the day, I don't know why I can't remember what I did.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot these days.
What did I do yesterday? Wasn't very festive. We just had a long week. I was out like on Wednesday and Thursday, so like by Friday I was like super tired.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was like, it's so cold. It's like I don't want to do anything.
Oh my goodness, the weather switched in between 80 degrees like 10 days ago to snow. I can't take it. My body just physically can't.
Yeah, my body's like, oh god. Well, I'm from Colombia, so like...
How are you handling these winters?
I know, I've been here for 23 years and I still I hate winter. Where I grew up, the weather is more like kind of like fall, springy, so it's like, it's all year round the same thing, because it's in the Ecuador, right? Mm-hmm. But it's high in the mountains, so it's like 50s and 60s and low 40s at night. And we would get a 70, but it's not very often. So it's like kind of like what I'm wearing and a jacket, that's it. Which is nice, right? And people complain that it's cold. So every year when it's like, first like the change of hour always fucks up my sleep because I wake up early, but this like ruins it. And then second of all, like, I hate not having enough sun.
Yeah.
And then two, like, I just kind of don't love cold weather, but I do like looking forward to other seasons, right? Mm-hmm. So like I'm like, all right, I'll put up with this for a couple months because there'll be spring, summer, and fall, right? But just kind of
see, I could not care less about seasons. Whenever a leaf are changing, and all the girls are about pumpkin spice, and I'm like, no, indicator of the shit weather coming. I hate it, and I'm perfectly happy. It would be 90 on daily basis. I'm living in the wrong states, and everybody is always like, you're from Poland. Do we have winters? Do you have winters out there? It's like, it doesn't mean that I like them. I don't like them. I feel way better when it's 80 plus.
Yeah. I get it. The same thing. Well, no, I mean not the same thing, but I'm like, I've learned. I used to hate hot weather and like really sunny days. I was like very gothy when I moved here, and as I've gotten older, I was like, the sun feels kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have sun. I'm always kind of vitamin D deficient, so like that does a little bit to your health, as you may know. But Yeah, the only thing I like about colder days is dressing, because I'm really into fashion. So like, wearing like nice coats, hats, gloves. So like that part. But the part where it gets like ridiculously cold, where you actually have to wear like ridiculous, winter gear to stay warm, like.
No, the February.
Ridiculous puffy jacket and then
salt on your car and on your boots.
Yeah, that always pisses me off.
I'm dreading that quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
It's when you get older, it's more and more annoying.
Because also like, I as a photographer, I work in studios and I work in location. I work outside and I like shooting a lot outside. So one thing that gets like decimated when it gets cold is having that, being able to take photos outside. It's like.
So Aleksandra, I had Alejandra. People call me Alek because it's Aleksandra with KS, and everybody's confused. Like Aleksandra? No, it's just Aleksandra with KS. It's the European. Just call me Alek. So, what is that you do? Because I saw your page. You're a photographer. Kink, latex.
I would call myself a fine art photographer with like how would you call it? Not specialty, but like my subject matter tends to be more provocative, more sexy. So like I shoot like nudes, fetish, boudoir.
Beautiful work, by the way.
Thank you. But I also shoot fashion. It's just that I'm more known as a erotic photographer. But women are my subject matters. So and they tend to be on the sexier side. But I like shooting people like in a classy, sophisticated way, no pornography, I find nudity and like sexuality empowering. So like from that women's perspective, seeing it in that point of view.
Yeah.
I hear that, yeah.
No, beautiful work.
I feel similarly, I think.
Yeah, like...
So you're sort of riding the line between pornography and just depicting nudity, and figuring out how to do that, how to get to that side, because I mean, we've culturally just taken nudity and turned it just into porn as a default. So we're kind of, artists like us, I think, are actually working to kind of keep that sort of mentality alive.
Of like nudity as art and erotic as art. So like in my work, there's a lot of layers to my work. It's not like I rarely have a person that is fully naked, right? Yeah. I like styling nudity. So like a woman would have heels, we have stockings, lingerie, putting them in a situation, like constructing like a fictitious like tableau, kind of a little bit like what Adam does with like his paintings, right? Creating like an ambience. I do also like studio work, which is fun also, but I prefer shooting on location. So that's what I was saying about the lights. Like I as I've gotten also like in my career as a photographer, I enjoy more like natural light, so sometimes shooting outside, which can be risky when you shoot sexy stuff, but who doesn't like getting away with murder?
Have you ever done any like photo shoots with the naked model on the street?
Oh yeah,
nice.
Many times.
Wow.
You'll be amazed what you could get away with, but obviously being very careful. I've done mostly like a lot of like nude stuff in California in the desert. I know areas where you could go where nobody bothers you.
Gotcha.
Because I find like the beauty of like a landscape and a beautiful person nude, like just you could make great compositions, right? And you're also like in the body business, but in a different type of business, right?
Empowering women in a different way, and my line of work, it's very rewarding, and it's not just because it's a lucrative business, because we will live in a society that everybody wants to look good. No matter what it costs, if it's dangerous for you, if not, unfortunately, we are being judged by the way we look. And
in that sense, you and I have like something in common, because like, my aim with my photos is always to make people look good. So I shoot like my art, the models I select, whatever, and I shoot private commissions. So people contact me because they're like, well, I've always wanted photos like this of myself and whatnot. And my goal with these people is like, all right, I'm gonna give you what you want, right? You wanna look good naked, you wanna look good in lingerie, but you need somebody to see you in a way where it's flattering. So like it's in a way like vanity, right? Well, not vanity. There's nothing wrong with like looking good It's something that makes you feel good, right? Like women, the people that seek out like procedures that are related to like enhancing themselves, seek them out because they want to feel better about themselves. That's like something important. So somebody that wants to have a photo of themselves where they look good is the same ideology behind it.
Absolutely.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. I had women's coming to my clinic with the problems that they live through years, and they wouldn't realize, they did not realize, like with the little syringe of filler and a little bit of Botox, we can fix the complex that they've been living with for years. Let's say somebody have a gummy smile, and it's such an easy, fix to correct that problem. And we have women leaving our clinic crying. They were so happy. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that you can fix this so easily. I thought it's a surgery. I was like, nope. So that's what it's nice about my line of work. We making men and women happy by changing their appearance that way. So, yeah.
How many? What are the statistics like? What are the numbers like for men coming in?
It's changing through the years, and I see it shifting. It's way more males right now. When we were first starting back in 2015, majority of our patients, they were females. And right now, I would say 30% easily it's male, and they're coming for stuff like laser hair removal on their back, because who the heck wants to shave that,
That's probably like kind of like
and again, we're changing this misconception of people thinking that laser it's something extremely expensive and painful. It's not. It's very affordable. It's quick. There's basically no pain virtually to the treatment.
Like not having to shave. I mean, that's
but even stuff like Botox. So we came up with the term Brotax, because guys are coming do Brotax.
That is amazing.
Just to correct, something.
Brotax.
It's not a taboo anymore, And I remember when I first started, the women's were so, secretive about the procedures that they're doing. We had a client that would pay split the payment on 3 different cards because she don't want her husband to find out. And now we have women's coming to us telling us that it's actually pride to like, oh my goodness, okay, I have this filler, I have that filler. So it is changing.
You know what? Actually, I read an article about that this week, how like because of like Instagram and like TikTok is getting more normalized, and like even celebrities before, like this was about some doctor in Los Angeles, that was Dr. Diamond or something like that has an account with like before and after, right? So he's like normalized plastic surgery so much that like even like celebrities who used to be very hush about it are like going and doing posts like, oh, thank you Dr. Diamond for fixing this and like whatnot. And it's like, so like normalizing it, right?
So we have a clients coming requesting, I want Kylie Jenner lips, I want Bella Hadid fox eye lift, and I'm like, holy crap, when we first started, no one even knew any terms like that, and now we have women in their early 20s coming and requesting these procedures. So,
So your boots, I'm just noticing because I'm painting them.
They have a cool...
Wild.
Thank you. Very comfortable.
Yeah, cool.
They're cute.
Thank you. Very comfy.
What does that say?
Fendi.
Fendi, right?
That would be Fendi Schmendi. I like Fendi. I like their boots, their sunglasses. I can... I will save money. I will shop for clothes in Target, but as it comes to purses, boots and sunglasses, it has to be designer. I don't know. I just don't like to buy cheap stuff.
I understand.
And it lasts you forever too.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I'm really into fashion too, but like I like more vintage designer clothing and just vintage in general, and so like.
Since I've known you,
I have like a kind of like no. I also think that I feel good like. Instead of buying something new that is disposable, I used to like a long time ago, like I said, everybody's like Sarah, H&M, and as I've gotten older, I'm more into collecting. But I've been collecting for a long time. Like now, I'm like, well, these are clothes that were made with great fabrics by great design a long time ago, and here I am giving them a new light, like, and I'm not going into like the landfill or like the bad thing that fast fashion has. So like. I have a good conscience about it, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I also like the fact that they're unique, that they're like, not like nobody's gonna have. Well, somebody might have it, but like it's not like you're gonna be at a party and somebody's gonna be wearing the same thing you're gonna wear.
I want to ask you what music you are into.
I like lots of different music. I like a lot of like 80s new wave as much as I like soul music, as much as I like, what else do I like? I like The Cure, Depeche Mode. I like 70s rock. I like, I also like more newer stuff, like from the label Italians Do It Better, Future Islands. The other day I saw one of my favorite bands from the 90s that I never thought I'd see, Suede.
Nice.
So like, I have a very varied taste. I also listen to old school salsa. I like...
Gotcha. We just went to Riot Fest and I saw Nine Inch Nails for the first time.
Isn't that amazing?
That's great.
We went to the mosh pit, me and Gabi and Adam, and I'm like, what the fuck are we? I'm 41 years old and I'm in the middle of the mosh pit pushing people around. But it was so good. It was one of the best concerts of my life. I saw Depeche Mode several times. They're coming actually to Chicago.
Yeah,
April 5th.
I have obviously, of course.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Cool.
I've seen Nine Inch Nails many times. The last time was like a couple years ago at the Aragon Ballroom, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But speaking of mosh pit, one time actually they were playing Lollapalooza. I think this was in 2008 or 9. I can't remember. And I went by myself, super excited, and I got into like too much like people like next to each other, and then I had a panic attack and I had to leave.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't do crowds like very well.
It could be intimidating,
It could be very intimidating, but
the stage.
yeah. Nine Inch Nails is one of those bands that.
Well, because I'm trying to like put you together in my head and seeing.
Seeing me in like in the world.
Yeah, no, because
it's like, isn't she kind of like the kind of person?
People often do not believe because I'm just like business owner with the fake boobs, lots of makeup. I used to be bleach blonde, and they don't realize where I come from because I used to be a godchild myself. I used to. Had a Dave Gahan haircut. I look like an old lesbian woman back then.
All right, I have to like kind of like imagine her for a second. Dave Gahan with
black nail polish. I used to be into The Cure, electro body music, EBM, not
EBM, yes.
EBM because Berlin. I'm close to that. And then my old friends from Poland, like seeing me, like, Alec, what the heck happened? I was like, everything else is inside. Like the old Alec is still there. And I was into latex and S&M and BDSM. Like I love that stuff. So that's why, I was like putting puzzles together. I was like,
it's like, okay, this girl's into that stuff, definitely. I think like everybody has like the goth that they recognize into each other, even if they change. Let me ask you a couple of questions and then I know what kind of person you are.
Yes,
that's pretty
great.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was like more gothic when I was like younger, and as the years have gone by, like I've diversified more like my tastes in music and like scenes and whatnot, like more kind of open, but there's still like obviously a lot of it in me, which I am not like.
It shows in your work.
Thank you. I am not like I don't deny it. I'm like kind of like, well, it's a cool thing. Yeah. I remember reading an article a couple of years ago that was kind of cool, and it was talking about, it was like, the headline was like, in the goth club of eternity, we dance hand to hand. And that always stayed with me, like in my head, that headline, in the goth club of eternity. Because one thing is that you could go out to a goth club in Chicago or go to a goth club in England or in Colombia, and it's the same people, the same vibe, the same music. So it's a unifier. It's kind of cool. It's like a scene that like doesn't really change that much, and there's something nostalgic about having a constant in life, right?
Yeah.
So you could go hear Nine Inch Nails like now, or hear it like the first time I saw Nine Inch Nails was in the year 2000, and I felt the same way as when I saw them last.
And he looks good still. I was like, oh my goodness, okay.
He was more skinny when I saw him first, and then I think he
ripped.
got into exercise and was like,
he looks ripped.
He looks like he would lift a lot of weights.
Which I don't mind.
But puts on a great show.
First looked like that. That was That was a surprise to me. So I was used to him being this waif kind of figure.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then he sort of disappeared for a number of years, and then he
I
came
think
back
he
and
got
he's super
healthy.
buff.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like maybe, you know, into stuff that people get into that is unhealthy, and
Sure.
then got healthy and got into other stuff that was like, you know, supplementing, like, which is good, right?
Yeah.
I would say.
So you say, like, you know, you're a business owner and like on the outside you look different. Do you still go to things that like identify with like who you used to be, or like?
Absolutely. I always just went to, I call it vampire party, because it was all, you know, goth and EBM.
Which party? Nocturna?
No. That was like 4 weeks ago in some warehouse. So I could not tell you where.
Oh my
where
God.
Was it? But it was great. It
How
was
come
the
I
best.
didn't hear about this?
And they were playing 80s music as well. And actually last weekend we went to the place that is called Late Bar.
Oh yes.
I didn't know that, you know, this place exists. It was first time, and music was great, the ambience was great. So yeah, whenever there's opportunity,
I go to Late Bar too.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Neo?
To where?
Neo?
No.
You missed out the good, like, so Neo was a club that was on Clark and Fullerton, right? It had been, I'm like 43 years old,
Okay.
and it had been open like the same amount of time. Like, my birthday's in August, and I used to go to like their anniversary party, which was a week later after my birthday, and we were the same age. So when I came here to the US, and when I was 20, and when I turned 21, the first club that I went to was like Neo, and I met a lot of my friends, a lot of like people that modeled for me and whatnot at Neo. So Neo had like a big place in my heart, and I used to be a regular that went there like a lot Saturdays, Thursdays, where they had 80s night. It was fantastic. Sadly, the original owners, the owner died, the sons inherited the place, and they didn't like really care about it. So like they ended up like deciding to close it in 2015.
Okay.
So
that's when I moved to Chicago from Michigan.
yeah.
I
So
missed
probably
the good times.
Oh, you would have seen it. Like, that was like one of the most amazing nights ever at that club, because like the last 2 nights, and I went the last 2 nights that it was open, it was packed. There was a line around the corner for it. I remember going up front, and like the guy knew me. He was like, come in, you don't have to stay in line. So like, it was amazing, right? On the last night, however, it was so packed and it was so hot, and I was driving, so I wasn't drinking, but I kind of like should have gone and gotten some water, right? But I didn't. And I was by the door, and a friend was talking about like, oh my God, it's so hot that I felt like I was fainted. And as she said that, I actually fainted in front of her, where like my eyes went backwards, and then like I regained consciousness on the lap of this like goth girl in a corset, like kind of big girl. And I'm like, what's going on? And the people in the bar were like, what are you on? I'm like, nothing. I'm on nothing. I just kind of should have had some water. And they're like, are you okay? Should we like, I'm like, yes, I'll just need, and then I went back in, so that became kind of like the legend. It's like, this girl fainted, and went back in, right? But as the last song, as the night was closing, I remember looking around, right, and thinking, I'm never gonna see this place and these people again, and I started crying.
Why did they close it?
Because like the original owner like died, like.
Okay.
And then like his sons, the kids inherited and weren't interested in it, like. So they just let it go. So it was a really cool place. It was interesting. It was like dingy.
How is that?
They did actually a documentary on it. It's called like
Oh yeah. I never saw
24 something Last Call. I want to see it. I haven't seen it. They wanted to interview me for it, and I didn't follow through. But
I'm interested. How is that scene in Colombia?
well, I wouldn't say that I'm active in it, because I've gone to some places and they were quite like very, very, how would you say,
CD.
underground and seedy. Yeah.
Okay.
We were at a club one time with some friends where this really fucked up thing happened. Like, we were in the dance floor and a guy came over with a bottle of wine and put it in this guy's head.
Oh, shit.
And the guy went to the bathroom. At that moment, my friend was in the bathroom where this guy comes in with a lot of like blood. And then the people at the bar went and hauled like some prostitutes from the street to like give like a sexy show to distract people for the fact of what had just happened.
That's in a club?
Yeah, that was in a club. There was a very city club.
What's the name?
No. I don't think it exists anymore. I have photos of the whole event. The prostitutes like going down on each other at the bar, like the blood everywhere. Like it was pretty gruesome. Well, I don't live in Colombia, and I haven't lived in Colombia for 23 years. So like, I had gone to some stuff like that, but it wasn't like, it's not like the people that I hang with are into, and like, I guess like when I go there, I don't go to stuff in that world, but pretty sure they exist.
Mostly family visits and stuff like that.
Yeah, my friends like are older and they like just going and drinking to loungy, nice places or having dinner. And then the last times I've been there because of COVID, things weren't open, so it was more like hanging at somebody's house, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need a refill of wine.
Yeah, I'll bring the bottle out actually. I don't know why I didn't have it out here.
You're like, I don't even know how I got up.
Girl, I need to fix that hangover ASAP. So, you know what they say in Poland, what poisons you, you gotta drink it so it will fix you. Thank you.
I know
think
that.
it's like the dog.
No, I actually don't want
There you go. Now it's all aesthetically like pleasing.
I cannot like even drink red wine. I forgot.
No,
I have like
if you like it.
no, it's just I have like I had a fucking stomach infection.
Oh shoot.
Some and then the drugs that they give you it's quite hard to kill the freaking bug, but it also damages the stomach lining, and that takes a while to recuperate.
Oh.
So with even a sip of that, I start feeling like
acidic,
like
no.
like my stomach. I'm like
Stick to water.
Okay. Well, it looks nice on the table.
I'll take care of it, don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm not driving today.
Do you have a name for this guy?
Not yet. Any ideas?
He should be Benny.
Benny?
Benny's so smiley, like oh.
He's pretty smiley. He shows up on all the episodes. I like to remind people that they're gonna die.
Oh, here's where it went goth and dark. Thank you, Adam.
But I think it's important. Otherwise, what are we doing? What's the point of this?
Well, if our lives were eternal, we would be all lazy and we wouldn't achieve anything because we're like, I have 100 years to think it over. Maybe, but since we have like finite amount of time doing this planet, and then as you get older, you're like, fuck, I can't believe like it's been this long. It's passed so much. It's going fast. Then you have this pressure to like things that you feel like you need to do. At least for my own self, I don't know if it's the same for you, where you're like, all right.
We actually had this conversation yesterday with my friend who happens to be my medical director for one of my clinics, and he is into stem cells, and he does preparatory treatments for anti-aging with hormonal replacement and stuff like that.
Wow.
So yeah, we were talking about it, that how much does it cost currently to extend your life? And Alex is saying that there are technologies that cost around $200,000 per like treatment. However, it may extend your life. But then I'm like, okay, it may extend your lifespan, but are you looking the same way? What would you choose?
I was gonna ask you that. Yeah,
I don't want to sneeze and shit myself. I don't care about life like that.
I have the
because I'm
same
old,
feeling.
you know?
It's like you're gonna extend your life. Yeah, you might last to 100, but then
But
you'll
can
be.
I look the way I'm looking now?
No. That's the key, because if you're gonna live to 100 but be in a cane and look like really old, I don't know if I want to live that long.
I don't want that.
Yeah, no.
I'm a bit vain, but
But if I could be a vampire, I would
yes,
stay on that
exactly.
planet, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
curious
Yeah, that's
what's out there.
different. Yeah.
definitely on the vampire side, it's like, well, if I could look like this and like last longer, yes. But then I don't know. I also think that like, why would you want to live so long?
Because I'm curious. I don't know. I just want to see what's gonna be. What is gonna be like 100 years from now?
Oh, the future scares me like the fuck out.
Yeah.
More for like what's going on with the planet, the amount of idiots that we have reproducing by like the right. I have this French friend who is we're very close, and like he likes sharing fun videos with me, but he shares these videos on Instagram, which somebody has an account where they this person goes and asks people, like generally young people, basic geography questions, where it's like they have no idea. I'm like, I could have not graduated from high school. So like when I think about these people, I'm like, oh my God, the future sounds terrifying if we have so many idiots out there, right? Like that, like who's gonna take care of us? I mean, there'll still be like smart people, but like I do feel that the idiots reproduce faster than the know smart people.
Yeah, of course.
Did you see that movie, Idiocracy?
No.
Great movie.
Okay.
It's by the Mike Judge, but like it was like when did it come out? Like 2004?
Maybe.
5? It basically, it's like a dystopian future where like in the future everybody's so idiotic that society is non-functional, like and like some years ago like it seemed like it was going this way, but like one thing that resonated with me is like the smart people are not reproduce. I don't want to have kids and I don't have kids, right? But like I have a lot of friends of mine that are in the same boat, right? And we're like all smart, but we don't want it. And then a lot of the people that are not smart, they have like 10 kids. So bringing more like idiots into this world. So that I find terrifying.
I have a son and he's super intelligent and smart.
But you're smart, so like
I'm making
you're
sure
like the kind of people that needs to have children. The others, I don't know.
Well, some people are reproducing just because they can have social benefits. But I don't like kids myself. I love my son, obviously.
How old is he?
He's 9. He's a son of mine, but I'm not the type of girl that runs into the shore like, I'm gonna get a bit. No, that's not me, 100%. And I made sure to raise my son. I don't want to be like overprotective mother. I treat him equally to me. And my ex-husband is saying that this is not good because he doesn't gain respect, because I should treat him like a kid, because kids are like dogs. They need to be on a schedule. They like being on a schedule, which is true. We want to keep them balanced. My problem is because I never was around the kids and I'm not like crazy about them. I'm treating him as an adult. So whenever he's having like a meltdown, I'm like, Henry, I'm not gonna be discussing this with you. Like, come on, you are embarrassing me right now. So that's how I approach raising my son, and he has very expanded horizons on different cultures. I make sure to take him to different countries. We travel together a lot.
That's
He's
pretty
my little
cool.
travel buddy.
Yeah, that's great.
He's probably an interesting kid.
When you're telling me about those videos, I sold them. Geography. My son will tell you every single flag that is out there. He already knows them.
I know.
He's coding, already building his own video games. So I hope that there's more,
Kids like yours and less
Henry.
idiots. Yes.
I think that a lot of young people who I meet are incredibly mature, and a lot of them are they're seeing therapists already, and they're just emotionally mature. Also, it's shocking. I feel like a child myself when I meet a lot of them, because they're so on point. So I think that there's some good news.
Well, I hope so.
Well,
not to be negative, always like I guess seeing
I-
those
no,
videos, you're like, oh, I find this terrifying.
I hear where you're coming from.
But
too.
yes, of course, there's gonna be smart kids and smart people, like for example, like you, like that are raising a good kid with like good sets of values and like treating them.
Well,
I do think that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like parents that treat their kids like immature, like idiots.
Well, yeah, they're sitting on iPad all day long and just being kids being I mean, kids have to be a kid, obviously. It's a different case scenario. Well, it was shocking to me when I first moved to the United States, and I found out how many people in their early 20s are already on antidepressants. Adderall, it's something prescribed on daily basis. Everybody's taking Adderall, not a big deal. And antidepressants, I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this country? Like, in order to get antidepressants in Poland, you have to go through,
all this stuff. I couldn't agree more with you.
Just like that, I was like, why are you 20 and you're so depressed?
It's because like the pharmaceutical
they're hooking you up and you're just becoming a zombie.
In this country is quite sick. Yeah, it is terrible that they prescribe. I have a friend who has a daughter and she suffers from depression and she's like a teenager. But like what he says about it, I'm like, she's just going through normal stuff that you go as a teen. Maybe what she needs is like more attention or like, and he was telling me that she was on Zoloft. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? I was trying to argue, I was like, this is terrible stuff. Go do some research because you're gonna create lifelong problems into the chemical makeup of her body. Like,
I mean, it's not a good approach, but whenever I was telling my dad that I'm depressed, he's like, go wash dishes, you'll fix your depression, you know. I know that, you know, you have to look into, you know, core problem, but...
Obviously, there's some advantages to those drugs for, like, people that are severely, like, they need them. Like,
but I don't believe
that everybody in your teens, like, they should be...
Or Adderall, like, for what?
For what, yeah.
You know, and it's, like, in Poland, it would be impossible to even get a script for something like this, because it's considered, like, dangerous medication, and here everybody is hooked on it. I'm not judging them if it helps for them. What I'm trying to say is, like, why it's so widely available and freely given to everybody that will tell you, like, oh, I'm not sleeping, okay, I have some other on daily basis. Like, no.
But it's not only that, it's like, this country has, like, a problem with, like, the pharmaceutical industry definitely has a big hook on things. The opioid crisis.
Yeah.
In my country, the same thing. Like, in here, like, you get into some kind of accident and they could prescribe you the word of opiates and they wonder why we're having a problem. In my country, I was in a car accident and they only gave me, like, a high dose of ibuprofen.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of, like, had a ton of pain that I couldn't fall asleep to or anything, and, like, I got used to being in pain. But, like, I didn't get given any drugs at all. And it's the same thing. They don't prescribe that kind of stuff to people just because. Big difference. Like, like you see, like, you know, more. There's a lot of, like, mental health problems here that probably get created from a young age, prescribing kids things that they don't need.
And that's our future society.
Hopefully not. Hopefully there's some kids that their parents were like, this is bullshit, not gonna let you have this rubbish.
No, I remember when I was flying first time to Poland with Henry, I was already single mom, he was 3 months old. And I went to doctor and, you know, I was getting all the shots for him, make sure he's okay to travel. He's like, do you want some Benadryl for him so he can sleep through the flight? I'm like, fuck no, like, why? You're gonna be okay. They just, like, dragging babies.
Yeah.
You're gonna be more relaxed. I was like, no Benadryl for my son. We good. He was fine. We had a bassinet. He was sleeping in a bassinet. He's really easy to travel with.
How old is he now?
He's 9. He is 9. Little nerdy guy.
Is there times where, like, I've heard this from several parents where you're like, oh God. Like, where you feel frustrated as a mom and you're like,
Listen,
I want some time off.
I moved to Chicago back in 2015. I divorced my ex. And everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're moving to Chicago with the baby in a diapers, moving to a completely different state where I have no family in here. Everybody lives overseas. I'm by myself. New city, new business, and the kids in the diapers, and you single. How the fuck are you gonna pull it off? I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna freaking do it. I have no choice. I just heard that sirens calling and siren call, that's what it's, the siren, you know,
I know what you mean.
sing, yeah.
The signal, the bat signal.
Yeah, and I was like, I have to put everything on a freaking one bet and play, and I think I won. But it was scary and intimidating, and yes, you are asking me for the moment, like, it's like, do I regret being a mother? No, I love my son. I cannot imagine different, but sometimes, yeah, you want to jump out of the freaking balcony. I was like, I just can't handle. I ended up in a mental institution back in 2018 when we were talking about mental issues. I never wanted to take any medications. However, my business and the situation I was in got so overwhelming to me at some point. It's, you know, like you hear entrepreneurs are hanging themselves, like they just can't take it. I was there. I was mentally done. And
you sound like you had a nervous breakdown.
I did, yes. It was just too much going on in between my son, because kids are sick all the time. You have to help them at school. Then brand new business that was rapidly growing. Nobody around to help. You are on your own, basically. And yeah, I had moments that I was like, I just can't take this anymore. Like people that don't have kids and run business, they barely can make it. And I'm here with no grandma, grandpa, nobody. It's just me.
Right.
And I went to the doctor and they prescribed medication for me. I got some antidepressants. The first time I started taking antidepressants, I gained like 20 pounds first of all. And I had a routine every morning when I was going to work. I always lower my windows down. I drink my coffee and I blast music. And I'm just happy driving, in Chicago. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Once I realized that I'm going to work in silence with the windows up, no coffee, I'm like, you are not happy, you are not sad. I felt like a zombie. Literally, you could spit in my face. I would be like, "Oh yeah, it's raining," you're pretending. So I hated the medication I was taking, and I went to the doctor. They prescribed me different medication that gave me so much anxiety. And I remember my friend Jacqueline invited me out, and that was like a week after I started taking this new medication. And we went out, and I had a few glasses of wine, and I got seizure. We went to, I think it was Smart Bar. Yeah, we went to Smart Bar, and on the floor I just fainted, and it was Friday night. Immediately after they took me to the hospital, they saw that I'm taking antidepressant and drinking alcohol, so they thought I'm suicidal. I'm like, who isn't? We're all at some point, but I was not there. I was not ready to, hang myself. And it happened to be Friday, and the doctor could not oversee me until Monday, so they put me in an institution in a hospital.
Oh my God.
For the whole weekend, took everything out of me and considered me being suicidal, trying to kill myself. I was like, no, I'm trying to explain to them. I switched the medication, and I drink alcohol. Well, you will be evaluated on Monday. I'm like, alrighty, well, let me do the best out of it. They were feeding me drugs. I had the best nights of sleep while there. I was doing yoga. They gave me yoga mat. I read books, and then every morning we had a breakfast and a meetings in that room with all of the people that were in that situation. And I made a friends with the guy who happened to be from like Texas, and he came here. He was homeless and hooked to heroin, whatever, different drugs. And he started telling me about places in Chicago which are the warmest to sleep during the winter time, like which overpass is safe to stay in. And he was so nice. And yeah, Alec, like if you go to the Armitage, there's this overpass, like no one will bother. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, what the fuck I even started this medication for? I'm driving $80,000 fucking car. I'm paying for everything myself. I have a good life, and I'm sitting here like a sore-ass loser crying over myself, taking some antidepressant. That was such an eye-opener for me, that you really have a lot to appreciate no matter how hard it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And since then, I used to call it butterfly with the broken wing syndrome. Like you sit there, like, oh my God, my life is so shit. I was like, bitch, your fucking tears will not pay your bills. Like, get your ass up and go to work. And since then, everything has changed. So since 2018, my life switched. And no matter how hard it is, and trust me, it's still hard, and it's harder because my business keeps growing. But I just had this feeling that nothing gonna break me. I'm not afraid of absolutely nothing. It's scary at times. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of God. I'm just going. I'm just doing, and I don't think I need any medication ever again. The only medication right here is the red wine from time to time, and I'm even cutting on this. I don't know. It's the people saying it's called like awakening, when you start realizing that alcohol doesn't taste as good as it used to. And I used to have like spiritual awakening. Yeah. And I used to drink like, it never ends up on a glass. You're coming from work, you're popping a bottle, and within a half hour, the bottle was gone.
Well, I also think that as you age, you don't tolerate alcohol as well. Like, if you remember in your 20s, you're able to like have shots, drink, go out all night.
Today,
and then like you'll wake up and you'll be like able to go to work and like nothing. Like, I cannot even drink like that. Like, I get like super sick. And also I'm kind of like, I don't like being hungover. I don't like feeling like shit. Whenever I drink too much, it gives me anxiety. So then next day I'm like, I'm a mess. So I'm like, kind of like, I become more kinder with my body.
Yeah.
The story you said reminded me, well, that's something similar that like being in a weird situation that you have like an awakening. So I was mentioning that I had a car accident. I was in a car accident when I was 17, like just about a month away from graduating high school. So I was like, I probably would have not even graduated because my grades were terrible. And then like I go to a party that I didn't want to go, and that night while somebody was giving me a ride home, like he gets into a car accident, and like I received the whole impact of the car, got taken to the hospital. And then while I was at the hospital in a lot of pain, I was like in the emergency room, and this guy comes over and he's got like bullet holes in his chest, like talking to me. And I was like, like all freaked out. But then the kind of injury I had, I broke like my pelvis. So like they can't put a cast on you. And I was in bed for 4 months. And these 4 months were like, I missed going to the prom, to the class trip. I did go to my graduation in a wheelchair, but like that like had a profound effect in me, because at the time I was like, I had suicide ideation. I was like kind of silly and depressed, like in that way, where like I just didn't appreciate life. But that made me appreciate life so much. And not only that, like I love walking. That's one of my favorite things to do, right? And like I don't even take it for granted, the fact that I don't have like a limb that I could walk, and I'm like, oh my God, it's such a blessing, because it could have gone the way worse. Yeah. In the moment when the car started spinning around, I actually thought in my head, holy shit, I'm gonna die. Like that was the first thought, and then it stopped. It was kind of slow motion, stopped. I received like the whole impact of the car against this like concrete thing. And I was like super like the first person in this car with like 3-4 friends that were in it, like that said something like let me out and whatnot. But yeah, you do have sometimes like, I guess, faced with like really harsh stuff that would change you either for like the better or the worse, right? It could have gone like, I could have gotten hooked on opiates if it was here in the States or something like that. But instead, like it made me like, once I was able to get out of bed, I just wanted to walk. And I remember like my mom was at the time like, "Do you sure you want to start university?" I'm like, "I am ready, bring it on." And I would go, and like the campus of my university had a lot of stairs, because Columbia is in a campus, is in a mountains. And I would come every day from school for a while to go out to recover from that. Like I'd be like, oh my God, it's so much pain. Are you okay? No, I'm absolutely fine. Nothing hurts. It's great. But I pulled it through.
You did. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. So what you were saying made me think of that. Like you met this guy, you're like crying. You met this guy who's like homeless and like in drugs. You're like, my life isn't so bad.
Exactly. It taught me a lesson too, that I can dig myself out from the darkest spaces, which I still fall into. Like I have the moments. Like I used to cry in the pillow every night. I don't do this anymore. I don't want to wake up with the swollen eyelids. But I do mentally.
That's what sunglasses are for.
But I mentally will drag myself from time to time. But what I've learned and what I love about myself right now, and I'm 100% confident with the fact that I can dig myself up on my own. I will be laying there on the floor. I don't need anybody to come and like, hey, Alec, do you need help? I am so self-sufficient and so independent, mentally, physically. It scares me sometimes. And I will never ask for help. That's another thing. I will be moving furniture from place to place. I will drag them on my back like a donkey, but I will not ask for help. And I don't know. I've learned that this could be a trauma from childhood too. My parents divorced when I was a teenager. My mom moved to Germany. I stayed with my dad. But it's some type of trauma that you never ask for help. So sometimes I'm wondering, maybe I should start therapy, instead of taking medication.
It's not a bad thing. I've been going to a therapist for like over a year, and it's been kind of helpful. But like, I also have like, I suffered for a long time from like having depression and anxiety, and depression is, I hate being depressed, but at the same time, I'm able to like convince myself and like be like, go through mental things. So it's like, all right, life isn't so bad. You have this, you have this. And like, even when you have little things that make you look forward to something, that kind of pulls you out, right? They say like it's about changing the frequency of your thoughts, right? Sometimes it's harder than other times, but if you're able to like start thinking of more positive things, somehow like that puts you in better mood, right? So like obviously, for example, listening to music, like as you said, you drive to work, you listen, blast music with the windows on, right?
Well, you know what?
I go on walks.
I have Precious Gem, which is my son, And whatever I do, I'm always saying that I want to give him whatever my parents weren't able to give me. So I'm making sure that he'll be set for a future. I don't want to raise a spoiled brat by any means.
That he has a
he
good
will
life.
still work, but I want to make sure that he has this security. So I'm doing this for him. So I yell at myself sometimes in the mirror, like, bitch, get your shit together. You have this awesome kid right there you have to live for. You have fantastic business. You have great friends around you. Like, there's lots of to be happy of. Yeah. I don't know where was I going with that talk, but here I am.
You're yeah. The motivations.
Motivations in life, they're important.
And I am a motivational speaker, and I found myself, like we were talking about therapy, I went to 3 different therapists, and I swear to God, one of them fell asleep while I was talking. He just started snoozing. I'm like, are you for real? So then I'm like, you know what? I feel like a therapist, because in reality, I know these people are educated and they, know book-wise how to help you, but have you ever walked in my shoes? Like, what can you possibly teach me what I don't already know? And you are here listening to me, but you didn't go through what I went. Like, I don't think I need a therapist. And I got so, literally so confident with my thoughts. Like, I should be a therapist and teaching people and helping them with fixing them issues. And lots of my friends, they come to me, and I feel like a armchair. I'm always there. I'm a good listener.
And you're good at probably giving advice.
Yeah, and so whenever, let's say, we have some training, I found myself, I feel great on the front of large audience. I love educating people, especially about the business. Whenever we're setting up franchise, let's say if we have meetings, I just love talking about it. And then lots of people comes to me for advice. Me, on the other hand, I have one girlfriend. She happened to be my business partner, and really good friend of mine. She knows about some issues, and we sharing, on the business side and personal side. But yeah, I'm always there for everybody to listen. Like,
again, keep that in mind.
You could have been a good therapist. No, I had gone before to other therapists, and I had not gone to therapy in a long time, but then I had a major awful thing that happened last year. I lost my mother. So yeah, thank you. She died of cancer, and it was quite traumatizing, and I was very close to her, so like insanely close, and like it was just kind of one of those things that I was like, when I get back from my country, I was like, oh my God, like I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this awful pain. So I got like lucky with the person that I found as a therapist, because like she was like a professor of like clinical psychology. So like an intellectual type of like, there's different types. There's like social worker, clinical worker. There's this is like legit therapist. And so I go and talk to her, because like grief is very hard to deal with, right? Like not until you're faced with like losing somebody who's very close to you, like you're faced with like this very insane sadness, right? So what the therapy has been helpful is like trying to make me see like how I could grow spiritually out of like the worst thing that has happened to me. So like her and I talk about stuff, and like she sends me to read books, and the books have been like good and interesting, right? Like one book that I love that she made me read was like called A Man's Search for Meaning, right?
I love that book.
So have you read this book?
It's great.
It's a great book. So it was written by a Holocaust survivor. This guy who was like he was a psychiatrist.
Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl, and he was like when the war in Austria, like writing this kind of like thesis, and then he goes to this concentration camp only with his paper that like was his most precious thing and got taken away. So the whole time while he's there, he's like kind of observing people like as a scientist, right? Like whatever. And what got him through like surviving was his will to live, and like the things that like he would dream about his wife, whatever, like his will to find meaning in his life. And this is like a very simple thing, but it's a very profound thing, right? So in the same sense, it's like that I feel like finding a purpose in life and feeling that you're a purposeful person, right? having meaning can get you through to life, right? Obviously, like I'm a photographer and an artist, but there's more to that. And I feel like I've been going on a good like quest, even though like I lost something very meaningful from my life. It's like how can I learn and grow from this, right?
I mean, this is just, I know, as harsh as it sounds, and I lost my cousin yesterday, and he was 40,
I'm sorry about that.
We weren't that close, but I remember us playing when we were kids, so you kind of think about it. We lost contact like 10 years ago, I saw him last time. But I've learned it's just the way it is. We're losing people, they're somewhere. I'm an atheist. I know there's
I'm an agnostic person.
Yeah,
So
I know there's
guess.
maybe some power out there that's created all of that, but is that the old elderly man with the gray beard sitting
I
in
don't
the
believe
clouds?
in any of that. That's
And if hell looks like a god parties, I'd rather to go there.
I would say that if there's a hell, it's gonna be very interesting because it'll be full of people that I know. That would be fun.
We are all swimming in an infinite lake of lava.
Right?
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But yeah, it's funny. All we're talking now is depression, death, like two gods.
Two gods.
Right?
Like-
It's fantastic.
Where did it go? The conversation? No, I mean like
I thought I was the only one today when I woke up.
the problem with life is
Working for
that
me.
like, and especially in death, and this I learned from like therapy is like death is so taboo, right? We're like kind of like fascinated with it, but like we don't teach our kids, and we're not from a young age being like, well, you know, like talking about it like kind of like openly without like the stigma or the weird thing about it. So when it happens, obviously it's like the shock of losing somebody was like it's so traumatic, right?
Yeah.
Like I wish that the problem with like how my mom died was because like she was kind of like in denial that she had what she had. And then like I had like also like the fear of asking her, right? About it. Like, so she was like stage 4 cancer and like, you know, so I was kind of like, I felt that if I asked her about it, it meant that I was condemning her to death. Right? And now like, I'm like.
She wasn't ready to go.
She was ready to go, but like, but she was also kind of, I think that she didn't want to talk to me about it because then it's the realization that was gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
so
kind of
sorry.
like the thing is like it's hard.
I cannot imagine because, you know, my parents live overseas and I realized the other day that, okay, I go to Poland approximately, let's say, once every other year, and then my mom is 75 years old. Like,
Oh,
how
you're
many
like
more
me.
times I'm gonna see
You're
her?
like me. My mom
Yeah.
would have been 74, and like the same thing. They live overseas.
So
and,
how many
like,
times you realize you're gonna see her? Like 10 more times, maybe? You know. It's-
Yes, something I had like the similar
It's a
thing
harsh
because
reality.
they lived abroad, but like even it's weird because like she wasn't like present in my life all the time because she lived somewhere else, but she was present. I guess like the fact that I talked to her on the
Yeah.
phone and whatnot is like kind of like, oh. But I also like have learned to like all right accept it in a different way. Where I'm like, all right, she's still in my head, she's still me.
Yeah.
I have like all this stuff that like you know that is in my head. Like nobody would ever
You
take
can
that away.
still talk to her on the
I talk to her in my
Yeah.
so yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
that's okay. Thank you.
You could, oh my goodness. Did you guys know that in Poland, the mandatory field trip for kids in the 4th grade is Auschwitz? We're talking about
Holy shit.
Honest?
So that's what I'm like, the differences between
4th grade.
4th grade and I've been there twice actually. But yes,
Did you have to go there?
The
you have
second
to,
time,
so
it
it's a mandatory field trip from elementary school, every kid has to go. And it's still like that. And I actually like it because kids are being exposed to this reality you're not denying.
Or something that happened
You're not
that
even
like
denying,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. So that
Oh.
history doesn't repeat itself.
Yeah.
I find it crazy that there's some people now, obviously, because they're saying like, you know, there's all these idiots like online. Oh, that didn't happen. It was a conspiracy. I'm like, are you
Oh,
fucking
right.
crazy?
Right.
Like, oh my god. No, you should read that book. It was quite inspiring. Especially like, it's like, all right, life is so bad. Look at this account of like the most fucked up, and like he describes like what he describes of his experience as anything is like.
So see, I kind of got fed up of the subject, as harsh as it sounds, because they make it so important in Europe.
Oh.
About Auschwitz. I read so many books. Every movie that you watch is
Oh yeah,
about
I
Auschwitz,
get it.
you know,
I get it.
The Pianist, the Schindler List.
Because it's
I love
obviously
these
as it
movies.
happened in your country,
Yes.
like, so it's like more,
Yeah.
you know, this was one thing that was
The boy in a striped pajama. I don't know if you saw that movie about German boy having a friend from the concentration camp, Jewish little boy, and they were talking through the fences. And
No, I didn't see that movie.
It's called, I think, The Boy in a Striped Pajama.
Sounds
That's what-
familiar.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I would highly recommend it. But yeah, so if I don't have to read any more Auschwitz,
I get it. I get it.
I'm curious, why did you go back?
to where? To Auschwitz?
You said you went
Yes,
twice.
because I was older, and I remember what I was 9 years old when we first went.
Yeah.
So then I came back, I was 16, because I wanted to see and realize more. And I think some of my other friends went with me too. We just wanted to go again by curiosity.
Did you feel like when you were there, obviously, like, you know, what happened and everything, like, the energy being like, ugh.
It feels eerie.
Eerie.
And I remember the thing that stuck in my head was there was a room where they were putting prisoners that were trying to escape or something, and it was a room like literally 2 by 2, and they were putting bricks, and they were just literally breaking you in that wall. Yeah, they were just putting you in the wall in the corner and putting bricks around you, and that's how you were dying. They were shoving like 4 of them at the same time. And then the scratch marks in the gas chamber, you can still see them. People were scratching the walls.
Ugh, terrible.
Yeah, and then you go online and you see some girls taking selfies on the front of the oven.
Yeah.
I don't know how could anybody do that, right?
No, seriously. Yeah, but I came back because I just wanted to see it again. I was curious, and I would highly recommend for everybody to go. They actually offering, if you go to Auschwitz website, you can do virtual tour. You know? And I think everybody have to see it and experience it. It's just
That
face
seems
the
like
reality,
in
you know?
person seems better.
Face the reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would never be an Holocaust denier. Like, I study a lot of histories. I can't believe it. But again, there's a lot of idiots.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the fence if it's a convincing enough argument.
There's convincing. If the show me the bodies. Oh,
Yeah. Joking.
joking. Terrible joke.
Get out of here.
Come on.
Let me finish that picture.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's a big Polish community in Chicago. Is that what you mean
Gigantic,
here?
and I know one person that is from Poland. Actually, I just know my
Really?
clients are Polish. I don't hang out with Polish people, so that was actually I want it that way, because there's a lot of Polish people that move to United States and they live here for 25 years. They don't speak a word of English. They watch
I get
Polish TV. They go shopping in Polish stores. I was like, why are you in America again?
Why didn't
So-
you stay in Poland?
My idea to come into this country, I was ready to become Americanized. Of course, I still keep tradition and culture because I want my son to know it. You know, we don't believe in God, but we still celebrate Christmas and Easter. And my son knows who Jesus was, and there was a dude named Jesus, and he was walking on this planet, teaching other people, seeing things, because there were bushes and berries, and God knows what they were eating. So they saw the ocean spreading apart and burning bushes. I saw burning bush myself too, one time. But yeah. I did.
I'll take it. I'll go ahead.
But yeah, I forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about burning bushes and
Burning bushes.
Before that.
Where were we?
She's staying up until 6 a.m. It's not working.
yeah,
Your
yeah.
brain is like, what?
A little foggy.
It's struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we wound up there from you talking about being an atheist, raising your son, with the system of belief. You still celebrate the holidays just kind of for tradition's sake?
Yes.
No, we were talking about Polish people that you don't
Oh,
have a lot of like, Polish
God,
friends.
There we
That's
go.
exactly
We got
what
there.
it is.
We got
Okay,
there.
so let's
That's
backtrack. Just cut this out. My idea of coming to this country was to Americanize myself as much as I can and live the culture. I'm changing the country. I want to respect this country, live by its rules. Of course, whatever I have from Poland, you have double point of view. That's what it's called about immigrants, that we were growing up somewhere else, so we can see two sides.
Yeah, we can.
It's like watching CNN and Fox News. Because I'm not a Republican, but I will sometimes watch Fox News just by curiosity. I don't have. I have two Polish friends in Michigan. And I know a lot of Polish people, but they're not friends of mine because all of my friends are Americans.
Yeah, people assume the same thing as me. It's like, oh, so you have a big community of Colombian friends. I'm like, actually, I have very few Colombian friends. Right? The same thing. I never came here with the idea of to hang with the same people that I grew up with. Mm-hmm. Just like whoever enriched my life that was interesting, whatever their background was, right? And I do think that like a lot of immigrants say the same thing from Colombia, like the people that I have an aunt and she speaks terrible English even though she's been here 30 years and all her friends are Colombian. So like she's never like kind of like gone forward much with her life just because I feel that she's always stayed in this small, narrow mentality as where she came from Colombia. So like
see, I didn't want that.
No, neither, like I thought the same of myself. Like, well, I want to enrich myself with like interesting people from all sorts of walks of life and backgrounds. So like, but people are often like, oh, so you hang out in this community? Like, no, I don't really do. I mean, I don't even eat much Colombian food, to be honest.
I don't like Polish food. Can you imagine? I know how to cook.
I love Colombian food and I miss it. And when I go to Colombia, I eat the hell out of it. But in here, I was like, well, I grew up with that food and I like more like Asian food.
See, but no, for me, it's all about tacos. Like just put
I love tacos too.
Mexican food. Anyway, we went to Puerto Escondido last year with Gabby and to Mexico City. Oh my god, it was so good. I was like, I just moved for food in here. I love this country just because of their culture. But the food is just bomb. So I know how to make pierogi. I'm a really good cook, but I just don't like Polish kitchen. It's very bland. There's no spices. Pierogi with cheese. Yeah, from time to time. But how many schnitzels you can eat with mashed potato?
Yeah, Colombia, the food is more like very like meat, potato, soups. Not a lot of spicy. It can be good, but I'm not much of a meat eater. So to me, the meat is like. But like coming here and being exposed to all this food is like, well, I really like Mexican food and I like Asian food. I like Thai.
And we are lucky in Chicago because I think, in my opinion, Chicago have one of the best kitchens and restaurants in the whole country. It's
There's food for every taste here.
Yep. And it's 5 stars. Like if you want authentic Indian, you really will find authentic Indian.
Yeah. That is a good thing. To have like this variety of food like within your arm's reach. My husband who came here earlier and like he was like, what are we gonna eat? I'm like, your task while you go and do whatever you do, like do this podcast is you're gonna figure where we're gonna go eat because I'm gonna be very hungry.
So I was getting lunch with Adam. I was like, okay, let's just come, and then I realized like, well, wait a second, I will let him know, and he's like, well, the energy, and I completely understand now, but that's how we ended up here.
Yeah. Do you starve yourself before you paint so that you're like kind of like, oh, this is so painful?
Oh, I make sure to cry at least once.
Oh, you are?
Huh?
You want me to make you cry?
No, I already did once today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh, poor baby.
That's nice.
We should talk.
Everybody does that. All the good people, all the best people do that.
So, you cry, you laugh, you have a good time.
Yeah. You need the scope. If you don't recognize that there's a scope and you have one mode that you operate under, probably something seriously going on.
Well, I don't know. I think it's impossible if you're a thinking person to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're always gonna think about things that would make you sad. It's like and feel sorry and like empathetic towards people. And then you live in this base level of like kind of like where you don't question anything in life.
I know people.
But if you're unhappy all the time, then you never can see positive and the nice things in life. So you have to be kind of in between. And I feel that being happy, like, it's good to be sometimes sad. Sad is good for art, makes you think, makes you reflect. But also it's good to be happy and seek happiness because it's wonderful feeling good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I do know a few people, like you just mentioned to me, and all they can talk about is like small talk, which I can't stand.
I can't stand either.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me, like, hey, how are you
That's what I
doing?
like.
Well,
Yeah.
today, I will tell you the whole story.
Does this happen to
Exactly.
you?
You really want to know?
Since you have an accent
Yes.
and I have an accent, does this happen to you? And this is like the question that always bothers the fuck out of me the most. If whenever I meet a person for the first time, they're like, "Oh, hi, it's nice meeting you," and I say something, and they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Ugh."
Yes, so it got to the point, and it's mostly Uber drivers.
Oh, that-
for some
Oh,
reason,
funny.
they love to engage conversations, and I got so overwhelmed with these questions, I started making up the stories. So I'm just like picking random country.
I am the same way.
It's pretty
Like,
funny.
oh yeah, I'm from Russia. I was born in Moscow. Oh, how is Russia? And they're like all engaged. And then I got into this lie, making this so exciting.
That kind of happens. I do a little bit like that because obviously being from Colombia, people have these assumptions. Oh, Pablo Escobar, drugs, cocaine, right?
He's
So
my
I-
cousin.
So whenever I'm like kind of like consensus, if it's a person that I'll be like, okay, won't ask anything. But if it's somebody I'm like, I'm from French Guyana, like a random country in South America where they have no idea, even I don't have any idea of anything there. So there's no like aftermath questions.
But if they will ask you how is it, you can make a picture in your own head, like, oh, a beautiful country with a
No,
big
no,
mountains.
yeah, it's very nice, but like I haven't been there in a long time, so things change. Or I try to, but like I hate small talk as much that I don't like taking Ubers.
Yeah.
Like I only like taking them whenever I'm with my husband or with somebody. But if I have to go somewhere by myself, I'm like, I'm gonna drive, even if I don't drink. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with like the stranger like asking me stupid questions. Cause like seriously, as a girl, sometimes they're like, well, you want to have a drink? Like, Jesus Christ. I had this happen to me last year. Or was it this year?
Uber
I don't know.
driver?
No, after the boat, I was taking an Uber to go home after the boat with Ron, right?
Yeah.
And then the guy, like I am there on my phone and the guy starts talking all this bullshit politics. Because like I said something about crime in Chicago and he's like, well, when we retake the house, Nancy Pelosi is going to jail. And then he starts going on all this conspiracy stuff. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, here on my phone. I was like, oh, do you mind?
There
I'm
goes
like,
his
I'm like,
take.
I'm like dealing here with an important business thing. And I'm like, and the guy wouldn't shut up. And like, I was like, oh God, like looking, I was like, and I'm like, see Alejandra, that's why it's not good to take Ubers because you'll be stuck with idiots that you don't want to be stuck for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Well, on that note, do we want to take a break for a few minutes?
We can.
Just kind of recharge and snack on some cheese or something.
Sure.
Cheese and wine.
Sure. This is part two, second part.
Let's talk about an interesting subject. Dun,
shit.
dun, 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 dun.
Oh shit.
All right. Are we on?
Here we are.
How do you love?
How do I love? Entirely. I either give 100% or nothing. I'm a hopeless romantic. Unfortunately, it's extremely hard for me to live in today's society and a hookup culture. Nothing against hookups. You do what you do. I just know that they don't work for me mentally. I'm getting attached emotionally. You can look like a troll, but if there's something emotionally exciting, I'll go for you. So I guess, what is it called? It's not sapiosexual.
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 Yeah, sapiosexual.
That's me. I'm very fortunate to have a really hot boyfriend. But I'm always saying, Adam, if you happen to grow cauliflower on your nose tomorrow, I will still love you the same because I'm very like old school and I believe in horoscope a little bit. I'm a
In the
Cancer.
horoscope.
I'm a Cancer, and you know that Cancers are like these motherly signs, and they love to take care of their spouse partners, and that's how I am. But it's what is interesting about me. But that's how I love entirely, all my heart. I'll give 100% of me.
Love is always a good one. I have a little bit in common with you in that sense too. I've never been like a person who was attracted to like, the hookup culture, whatever, Even as I got involved in like these affairs, like they were always like long-term affairs, right? But I am happily married, and the same thing, like I just can't imagine being single.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's not fun, right?
I think it's, you know what, I mean, it may be fun, and I know lots of guys and girls that are single and they're happy.
Having a good time,
But
but
for me, it's just boring. It would be boring because, yeah, you can go crazy on the weekends, hook up with several people, but then you're going back home and you're sitting on the couch by
And you're
yourself. And it's just
alone.
boring.
yeah, it's fun to have like a constant in your life of like somebody
I
you
agree.
make plans with, like somebody like my husband and I are equal in certain senses and different in many other senses, and it keeps our relationship interesting. But I also find that like I have that romantic side. It's like and like at least in that side of my life, it's like my life is good. I have somebody that I adore and who adores me in the same way. That I have like a great romantic story with like all kind of like a telenovela, you know, ups and downs, but like still kind of fun and I feel like it gives you like a lot of sense of meaning and purpose to have like somebody to love besides yourself, you know, like give yourself to somebody,
about
right?
myself that I don't know what it is, maybe it's the way my mother raised me, but I always put people on the front of me, and I'm leaving myself at the very end. And I'm sure it's unhealthy because now the culture is all about self-love, you know, love yourself first. Yeah, you gotta love, I do love myself. However, I find myself happy taking care of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have zero issues being at work for 10 hours and then come home, pick up my son from school, cook full-blown dinner from scratch, and wash dishes, serve my man, bring the plate to him. I have absolutely no, and that makes me happy for some reason, you know. And like I just like
Actually,
to live
it's
for
because
other
like
people.
it's kind of the act of being like selfless, of like giving to other people. Like it's the same thing as why like people that do charity feel good, like right? It's like kind of like it's not about yourself. It's about like making others happy, and making others happy is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, in my own work, you know, I work with models, have a great time, whatever. But like I often say this to my husband. It's like when I go and shoot people that I wouldn't photograph them for my own art, but they hire me, and I make them feel happy with my work. I feel more happy and satisfied than with my own work because I feel like I did something good, right? It's rewarding. And I've gotten like people that like, for example, I have this trans client, and I've seen her transform in the many years she's hired me, and like every time I see this person grow, and like she's always like, oh my god, I'm so happy with the photos and how you make me feel, and like you made me you being like part of my transition and my progress, and I was like I feel like I did something good, even for like how my job has like this super vain side, like it has like a good side in like right. So that's something related to like being able to give some love to people in a certain way, right?
No, definitely. I agree with that.
You said you were married before. Was your husband Polish or was he American?
He was American. And I'm always saying I married my best friend, and what's funny, we are still best friends.
That's awesome.
It wasn't always like that. For 2 years after the divorce, it was very toxic and just disgusting, and we finally came to conclusion that we already messed it up, our son's life. We destroyed his family, so at least let's be civil to each other and let's have this healthy relationship so he can have a loving mommy and daddy, not the relationship when you often see people being divorced and daddy is a piece of shit, like I don't do this. Your father is extremely intelligent, he have a good values, we both love you so much.
Where is he at?
He's in Chicago, he moved to Chicago. We just went to dinner on Thursday. I have a really healthy relationship with my ex. He's dating a 23-year-old Gucci model. I'm like,
wow.
Good for you. And I babysit her dog. Like that's how healthy it is.
Oh my god.
She has this French bulldog Clio, and sometimes she travels to Miami or Costa Rica for photo shoots. And she brings Clio, and I sit with her. Like that's how we, develop this relationship. And I think this is amazing because, like I said, Henry is just seeing two healthy parents that, despite that they're not with each other, and he was asking me these questions like, "Mommy, why don't you marry Daddy again?" I was like, Well, sometimes marriage is not everything. I love your dad as a friend, but we can't live with each other because there's just too many differences.
Do you see yourself marrying again if you find somebody that...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not something that I'm looking for, but if someone would bend the knee and ask me, do you want to get married? It's like, I don't need to be married, but if someone loves me that much, like, might as well, why not? Absolutely. And like I said, I'm an old school romantic, so I'm all about this.
Yeah, here's like two hopeless romantics or hopeful romantics.
Yeah.
No, you see, I used to be quite a cynic about romance and whatever. It was like, I'll never get married, whatever. And then like I met the right person, so it changed my life. So afterwards, I've been like an advocate for love. I'm like, when somebody's like, I'm like, you know what, you might meet the right person if you're open, like
Never say
to
never.
it. Never say no.
Yeah.
And like maybe it's because like not everybody's supposed to be that special person, and you'll know when it comes to you, right?
I was always saying that I will never have kids, and here I am.
Well, that I've always said that is like I don't want kids.
Yeah.
That's another funny thing. Like when I started dating my husband, like I remember him telling me, it's like, since you and I don't want to have kids, I want to get a vasectomy. I'm like, that's the most romantic thing anybody's ever said that to me. And when I used to say that to people, are like, are you kidding? You find that romantic? I'm like, yes, because I don't want to have kids.
And then he's not putting you through pain of putting IUD for that shit is painful. So it's nice of him actually being so considerate and so aware with himself that he.
I always thought that was like so sweet, right? Like. I dated one guy where he was like, well, I can't take you seriously because you don't want to have kids. I'm like,
oh God,
mean.
That's really hard.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
he saw it, so anyways.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna pick the card now.
Yeah.
Now I'm intrigued with the cards. So let me shuffle.
They're easy. They're easy. They're helpful. I'm glad to have those.
I'll let you pick one.
No, you pick it.
No, you pick it. Pick the card, but don't look at it. Can violence ever be justified in what circumstances?
Can violence ever be justified
In what circumstances?
Well, nature is
pleasure's
very
sake.
violent by itself if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's natural disasters, animals eat each other up, so like that kind of violence. The rest of violence, no. I am like totally against war. I think that war is disgusting. It's horrible. I don't understand why species are so prone to like fighting with each other and killing people in the name of religion or in the name of like grabbing land or whatever, but I do not justify violence.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Have you recently watched Jeffrey Dahmer, The Monster?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course. The weird thing is like I am fascinated by like all of those shows like serial killers and whatnot.
So
like just because it's like because I'm such like a pacifist that I could never understand what would compel a person to kill somebody else.
Would
right?
you justify his violence though?
I don't justify it. I understand that he was like insane and broken, but I don't justify what he was doing.
There's no excuses.
There's no excuses. He was just a very bad person. Because like anybody who takes anybody's life to me is like, no, you don't have the right to take the right of anybody's life.
Yeah,
that's true.
So like what he was doing was like not only like killing them, like he was like making himself an altar, like torturing, like that was pretty like gruesome. I watched it, I was like, like something you watch with morbid curiosity, but at the same time you're like, wow, what a disgusting. I can't believe somebody that exists like that. And then I think like in day to day, like it's like, oh, there's more psychopaths out there.
There's now a trend going on, and I love TikTok. Okay, nobody judge me. I'm on TikTok a lot.
Right.
And there's Jeffrey Dahmer fan clubs, all these young generations of sad, depressed kids. They finding Jeffrey Dahmer to like a mirror figure, basically, like, oh, I'm lonely too, I have nobody. So they justifying him, and they're completely understanding of what he done and why he done it, because he didn't want to be alone. So he was killing people and eating them so they could stay with him forever, and he's being justified by that. So I'm just like, that's why I'm mentioning.
That's nothing new, though. I mean,
There's nothing new. There's
Charles
always
Manson
been like,
has always had
yeah, exactly.
people writing letters. I mean, people were writing letters to Dahmer when he was in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
nothing too new, but I think that
it's glorifying.
they might be
this,
more impressionable now even than
yeah,
before.
it's glorifying these really terrible people and the fact that media obviously like amplifies what they do. I couldn't believe like that there's people that would be like, oh, I justify what he did. Really? Would you justify if it was your mother, your best friend, your brother, your sister? Like nobody ever thinks about the victims, right? I did watch that show, but I did see a lot of like obviously strong opinions against it, because obviously like this is like bringing back the trauma to the victims. You know,
yeah, that was one of the main criticisms of the show that I was seeing. That they're highlighting this exactly, bringing back
glorifying the violence, like.
Well, they're turning it into entertainment also.
Well, yeah, it was like a Hollywood show.
It certainly was.
With the hot brother with the ripped chest. You
Yes, exactly.
It was.
Exactly.
It really was, and that's. I don't think we're gonna see that go away. I think that we're just.
There's gonna be more shows, because that brings like the morbid people like myself like to watch it. But at the same time, I wasn't watching it like, oh, I am like glorifying this person. I was watching it with repulsion. I was like, why would anybody do something like that? That is ridiculous. That is not ridiculous. That is repulsive.
Yeah.
No, I am horrorized by like violence. I was like on Twitter a lot because I was doing the NFTs last year or this year. And then like, you know how the news, everything breaks on Twitter when the war in Ukraine started happening, and I had followed a lot of people that were in Ukraine sharing all sorts of stuff, and I had to step away from it because I found it like just too painful to watch. Like I was having nightmares about what's going on, and I still find like terrible. Like I kind of like I read the headlines and I don't dig too much because I'm like, no, awful. I can't believe in this modern era that we're still going through such atrocities are being done to other people in the name of like a megalomaniac.
Name of what? Money?
Yeah,
power.
money, power, right?
And the regular suffering.
Yeah. All right, let's try a different card.
This is where those cards are.
You and me, you pick one and I ask you.
This one.
Let's hope it's not about war.
No, I think there's just
Okay, this is a good one. This should be an easy one for you. When do you feel most secure?
Funny question, because no matter how you see Alex sitting here being super powerful and strong and not afraid of anything, this is a question that I often ask myself, because with the stuff that is happening in my business life and stuff that is happening in my personal life, I don't have a safe space. It's hard for me. I don't feel secure.
You don't feel secure?
I don't feel secure. I know I'm very grounded person, and I will do whatever has to be done, but I don't have an escape place right now. I don't have this safe space where I can feel 100% comfortable.
No, but the question was not where, when.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
When.
Like, there's no space right now, even when you would think that when you come home and you are with your loved ones, that's when you feel the most secure. I do not feel like that. And maybe it's because I'm still developing this business and, you know, just being basically on your own. You don't feel that blanket, and there's no where, when. I just don't, and maybe one day I will. I hope I will, but for now I'm not.
Yeah.
Hey, we all have like facades, right?
Yeah.
We all have insecurities. I think that's
When do you
normal.
feel secure?
When do I feel secure? I feel secure actually when I'm working, when I do photos, I'm at home. So I don't have like that issue. I feel like I don't have security in my life. I feel good doing what I do, and I feel good in my home life. So
That's good. I mean, and it's also amazing that you have a loving husband that you can.
Oh yeah, that's
And
a
you
great
guys-
thing. Having a great partner, loving that is there for me, and also like I'm there for him. Like it's a big thing. I lived for a long time where I didn't have anything like that, and I feel very like not secure.
So that would be my security, which I don't have right now.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but it is what it is, and you just live with it. and
That's
maybe one day it will change, but yeah. That would be my question. Okay, let's move forward.
Let's try and they're good question cards.
They're
Yeah.
hard.
yeah, they're real. They really help with the intimacy. Not that we've needed it.
No, we've
We're
had a
pretty
good
open
conversation
people.
here so
We're-
far.
Yeah, we're very
But
open
like
people.
coming up
This
with
is
new
awesome.
ideas, especially because I don't know Alex, and Alex knows me
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just from now. So like,
Yeah.
this one. Hopefully, it's not about war.
Do you identify with people who live with mental health conditions? Why? What are these cards?
What are these cards, Adam?
These cards are
I guess I would identify with people that suffer from similar stuff as I do. I have like anxiety and depression, so yeah, I understand. I could be empathetic to their feelings and their needs because I have that. So
Mm-hmm. Understandable.
it's understandable.
No, I used to
But-
suffer from
but-
horrible panic attacks. Too.
Yes, that's
Oh.
like the worst. Like I don't know what's worse because like when you're sad, you're like I want to just go lay down. But when you're anxious, you feel like everything
Well,
is scary,
that's the
and you're
thing.
about to like
They can affect you mentally, but once they start affecting you physically,
yeah.
that's when it sucks because I can deal with the mental problems, but when you go to sleep at let's say 11 and all of a sudden at 2 a.m. you're just up staring at the ceiling
Yeah,
until 7, and I need my beauty sleep. That's the only thing. Like I
Yeah,
need my 8
yeah.
hours no matter what.
I don't function well. Yeah, no, that's like the worst
Sucks.
thing
Yeah.
ever. I'm like super scared of like getting. I had like one panic attack that I think traumatized me so much because like I felt like I was going crazy, and it happened like. I was in Colombia visiting and I went with a friend to see the ballet and we were in front row. Who gets a panic attack? But then irrationally, I started feeling like I was having a heart attack. And I go tell my friend and I'm all pale. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta take me out of here because I'm having a heart attack. And it's like, what are you talking about? And like, so they called the people from the theater, I guess, first aid, whatever.
Did you feel like fainting?
I would feel like fainting and I
Yeah,
couldn't
I-
breathe
I
and whatnot.
know.
And like, I've always feel like embarrassed when I think of the situation because of her, because she couldn't understand what I was going through. And like, I was just crazy.
Yeah.
It took me going home and my mom helped me calm me down. But like, that was, I've never felt like this, was like so overtaken by fear that I convinced myself that I was having a heart attack and I was just nuts. So being in that situation is awful, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather be like sad and depressed and not be in the mood to get out of bed than be like crazy like that. So I empathize a lot with people that suffer from this, and obviously it's hard, like giving advice to people, but like there's things that I do now where I'm able to control it, I guess, like a little bit better,
So when
right?
I was living in Poland, like mental health in Poland and overall sucks. Nobody takes you serious. You know, people commit you will be depressed, and people out there will be, you're just crying over yourself.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the general
Don't be a little
consensus.
bitch, like literally.
Yeah.
That's how my dad was to me. Like, just man up. I'm a woman, first of all. But anyway, I suffered from horrifying panic attacks to the point that it felt like fainting. I remember being walking on the middle of the street in the city center. All of a sudden, everything turned white
Wow.
on the front of my eyes, and you have these cold sweats. Your hands are shaking, heart is palpitating. It's like, what the heck is going on with me? But for now, right now they subside. I don't have it as many as I used to have. Like even 2 years ago, they were way worse than they are now. But yeah, that makes you realize like people don't take this seriously. They're gonna tell you like, oh, I have a panic attack. I'll just stop crying over yourself. But they don't realize how hard it's on your body actually, physically, not only mentally.
I feel that a lot of people, unless you're going through, you won't understand it. I understand obviously like how it is having suffered from it, but like, yeah, most people, what they tell you is unhelpful, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you can't understand being in somebody's shoes, it's better to just not say anything because it would probably make it worse. And like, the other thing that people just kind of like downgrade it, oh, it's nothing, you'll be okay, it's like, this isn't helping, right? I find that I do breathing exercises. And
I love the box breathing.
Like kind of like until like I'm able to calm down or go on a walk or go hug my dog or like put something on TV that like distracts me or like, you know.
Speaking of breathing, few weeks ago I went to the breathwork seminar. Holy shit, what I experienced. So you would not believe that without any substances in what position you can put your mind and body just by breathing. It was insane. So it was a seminar for women only. It was approximately 55 women. And the girl that was having that class, her name is fashionista. She's a famous, used to be a famous celebrity in Poland, and she's in our age. And one day she decided to dump her whole life completely. She said, it's toxic and unhealthy for me. All these drinks, alcohol, cocaine, whatever. I did not want to live like this. She dumped her life and she moved to Bali. And she's living in a little hut in Bali right now, planting. And she just rediscovered herself. And she came to Chicago for this breathwork class. And she was teaching us how to release all the anxiety and emotion just by breathing. It was insane. So there was, imagine 55 women just laying around, and you have to rapidly breathe for an hour and a half, and you do not stop. You go just like this, and you do this for an hour and a half, which in 15 minutes of doing this, all of a sudden your hands getting paralyzed, and she was calling that T-Rex arms because they get all that cramped. Your legs are getting all cramped. And then after you finish, all of a sudden you just have this feeling of release and complete peace with yourself. Women were crying, women were orgasming. It was a freaking shit show. I was like, holy shit. And I'm very like grounded person as it comes to these things. So I'm very rational. So I don't believe like, in manifesting. Well, I went there by curiosity. But wow, I would recommend it to everybody. Just try it at least once. We were not under any substance. You're not taking any drugs. And it just makes you feel like you're tripping just because you're breathing.
No, I know like good breathing exercises like lower your,
so
your heartbeat, and then you're able to like feel good, and that stuff works.
She told us about the box breathing. So breathe in 5 seconds, hold it 5 seconds,
and then
breathe out, and again, that helps.
That's super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do often on this show.
Do you breathe?
Well, I have to.
Are you that
I think it's gonna
anxious?
sound. Well, I think it's gonna. Yeah, I am. And I think it's gonna. Well, this puts me into a high anxiety mode, and that's why.
Really?
Oh, because it's so fast.
That's my resting state. I think that's like what I'm.
Wait,
but
why does it make you anxious?
This?
Yeah.
The time limit that I have to complete it, but also just because it's like, I just have to make a good painting.
Yeah.
And there's no alternative.
There's a lot of.
And if I don't, and if I make the people look too different than they actually look, then it'll just be like, wow, you're not very good at this, are you? and it'll all be like having been caught on camera. So it's like
that you feel like you'd be a phony.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big part of the show for me. So that
I
added
understand
pressure.
that.
I forgot that you're painting.
Yeah,
He's just standing there like asking questions
yeah.
here and
I'm
there.
just kind of a voyeur. Yeah, I just hang out over here.
It
You
is
guys
a
do
really
your
cool
thing.
concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should be cool.
It should be cool.
Yeah, what made you do that?
I just had the idea a couple of years ago, and I didn't have the funds to buy all the equipment I needed until I did, and here we are. So this is a couple of years in the making, and then I don't know how many months I've been filming these so far, but
I think you started this summer, right?
Yeah. So this is. I kind of feel like this show is my calling. like as far as art goes and what I'm doing with art.
I think it's pretty cool.
I think
It's
this
an
is
awesome
actually what I
concept.
belong doing. And this, I think the gallery stuff is like, that's always going to be a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really, it feels so much like that's just an exercise of vanity. Like, that doesn't benefit society in any way. This show, I don't know that it will, but individuals can certainly watch these episodes and get something from someone on the show.
Definitely.
Someone is going to be able to find this and think that this is great. If not just, I don't feel alone, or whatever it is. If somebody has no friends, there are fascinating people on the show, and they can get to know people. And so it's like this is a way that I found to actually pivot this skill that I
Connecting
have
words.
and my favorite things to do, and put them all into one thing, and then I'm in total control of what the show is.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, not really. I mean, the guests are in control, really, but like
The cards are in control.
Like cards are in control.
yeah, exactly. So I think really it's like this kind of controlled chaos, and it just kind of adds up to this bigger picture thing where I feel like I'm actually doing something that could
Building something interesting. Yeah.
building a community too.
Yeah.
Because after 25 or so of these episodes, I want to start to have exhibitions with all the paintings from the shows. And
That's
then
cool.
I'll invite all the people who were on the show into the exhibitions.
And everybody would talk about
And the
their
public
experience.
to the exhibitions. And
I
everyone
love
can
it.
meet each other in that way. And then it can continue to grow.
2x gods.
Yeah, there
Well,
it is.
no, I'm still quite there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
just
mean,
a little bit less.
Yeah, you could have fooled me.
I know. I love that she was like, "Let me figure you out."
I know.
Yeah.
Puzzle by puzzle. Yeah, I know.
If I would have decided, like I was thinking, I was like, maybe I should wear something colorful so I don't look so black. I'm like, and then I went to my
That's
closet.
great.
I'm like,
It's
it's not
not
interesting. I was like, it's not interesting enough. But I pulled this dress. I was like, that has a cool color. It'll come out cool in photos, maybe.
But
I
it's
don't
not
know.
even about what you're wearing, but I saw your work and I just wanted to hear what music do you like. So okay, I get it.
Works.
That's pretty cool. Let's find another card. I like the cards.
Yeah, I think
Who was asking?
it's
I
going to be
guess.
wise. It'll be
my
wise.
turn now, I think.
It'll be good to actually to get more of those, to replenish the cards, and
Okay.
get different ones in the future for the show. I mean,
Okay.
You could do Cards Against Humanity.
yeah, I think I'll ultimately want to ask my own questions and kind of like
What do you think
still
you
put them in
could
a random form.
become famous for? You are already famous.
I'm
for
already
whatever.
famous
Yeah.
for. I don't know what I mean. I wouldn't say I'm famous. I'm more infamous. You know, I have like a small group of people that like what I do. So I guess like famous for.
Mhm.
I don't know. Fame is kind of like a weird thing, right? Like when I think of like fame, I think like people that have 1 billion fans and whatnot.
Yeah,
I feel like I have like a small like a small club that likes what I do and follows what I do, but I wouldn't consider, like I could walk down the street and be still anonymous, right?
Mhm.
I would never want to be that person that could never go anywhere without being somebody's like, aren't you this person? I was watching the documentary of Anthony Bourdain.
I love that.
yeah. That
I know,
that was
so
a great
sad.
documentary too.
It was very good. I had seen it, but my husband didn't, and so we watched it recently. And one thing that he was saying is like how he and he started developing severe anxiety and like was in a bad place. It was like that. Like he was sick of like the persona he had created, like that he wasn't able to just go anywhere without like somebody bugging him, right?
Right.
So I guess I don't want to be famous. I'd rather be. I want to be known continue being known by my art, but I want to be able to not be known in the same
Sure.
that I could go anywhere and just enjoy life as another person, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm absolutely opposite, and here there is my narcissistic attention whorism coming out. I'm often thinking like, how these celebrities are living, like they cannot even go to the bathroom to get coffee because they have these paparazzis chasing them all the time. And you are creating this persona and this is who you are for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And what if you don't want to be this person for the rest of your life?
Exactly.
I think I will be totally fine with it. Absolutely. Like I said, I love
Yeah.
being on the stage. I love talking to people. I have zero camera fear. And if there would be paparazzi chasing me on daily basis, I would just, you know, say hello and be happy with what it is.
I used to do
relate
a lot more
bit.
self-portraits when I started doing photography. So like I was more, I guess, like in front of the camera, and that created like people like becoming a little bit obsessed with me to the point where like I started getting stalked or like or that I have actually gotten recognized, and like usually it's sometimes it's nice, it's like, oh, you know, I love your work or whatever, but then there's other times where it's like quite uncomfortable. So then I started kind of like, after I got this person who was like stalking me, like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna not put myself so much in front of the camera, I'm gonna be behind it. And that was like what I was saying. This guy was like, I want to paint. Oh, you model? I'm like, nope, I don't model. Once in a while, I mean, I like using myself as a subject, but I like the anonymity of just being able to enjoy life without the pressure of like that people know who you are, because sometimes it feels like they could break into your space, and like I'm terrified of like that kind of situation, you know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I feel like maybe like fame it's like a double-edged sword. Yes, you could be famous, but then you lose like the ability to be anywhere without being anonymous, right? Like,
see, that's the thing. Like
going day to day in your life without like somebody coming up to you.
Maybe I have to experience this, but I feel like I would have zero issues with that. Like if I would have to travel to another country and people would ask me for an autograph, yeah, sure, yeah. And
Right.
you know, I don't know.
I grew up the youngest in a big family, so I have this huge like vacuous hole that's just like, I need love, I need to be loved. So I think that's like the perfect recipe for that kind of character.
You need like, but I'm the youngest in my family too. I just don't I don't like unwanted attention.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't want that. I want. A lot of people, when like, you know, they ask me about my work, it's like, but your photos of yourself. I'm like, no, let's talk about my work. They're my work, but this is what I want to talk about.
Gotcha. Well, we are different, so.
Yeah, let's accept that. That's a good thing to accept.
Yes.
Whenever
There's
we can-
nothing
whenever
wrong.
we can.
I just feel like it has to be like, there's always a certain person that could like deal with that and be okay with that, and there's other people that are like different. I just like, I guess I'm more private with my own personal life.
Yeah.
Like the same way I'm in social media, like I don't share much about, you know, about my photography and my dog, and then that's it.
Right.
I could keep my life to myself and to the people that know me, and like I like to have that separation. I feel it's important. I like the same way I don't model nude. I like keeping my body to myself, to my husband.
See,
right?
I model nude on multiple times.
I actually enjoy that. Not that I don't take naked photos of myself. I've taken plenty of them, but I just don't like sharing myself. I like I guess I like sharing certain parts of myself, but I like keeping a lot of myself to myself. You know, like.
So you wouldn't go to the fully nude resort in Jamaica and play bocce ball on the beach with no underwear on?
I don't know if I would. Maybe. I was like,
I did.
we were in Spain with my husband over the summer, in like vacationing, and there was a nude beach, and we both wanted to go, but then like they had different kind of like rocks in the different beaches, right? Mm-hmm. So we're more like soft than others, and that beach happened to have like the coarse rocks. I was like, I want to go. I want to be at the nude beach, but at the same time, the rocks.
You don't want a seashell in your bathroom.
I'm like, oh, that sounds uncomfortable. They should have given them the nice beach where like you could like soft sand.
Yeah. No, Jamaica was a fun experience.
I've heard a lot about it. There used to be like a fetish, like a fetish gathering at that hedonism. That's how I know about it.
They have groups. So every month or even every week there's a different groups from the entire world that come there, and there's a different themes that they go for. Let's say there's young couples only weekends when everybody is like up to 30
and probably like they
then
have.
there's a BDSM, where people with a fetish latex come. So yeah, it's just a.
I've seen photos of the BDSM, the fetish. I think like that looks pretty cool. Like the people in latex in Jamaica having a great time. I'm more like a voyeur myself. Like I like participating as like being the corner and observing and taking photos or like just observing, but I don't partake.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, I'm a photographer. I feel like photography has to do a lot with like the behind the scene, the voyeur. Yeah.
You're the boss.
Yeah, I'm the boss.
You get naked.
You get naked. I'll take photos of you.
Oh, you definitely know what you're doing.
Thank you. Adam, total random, but like, how long do we still have?
Not long. I'm pretty close to the end of the painting.
Can I text my husband?
Yeah, go for it.
How long do you think you'll?
We're so close to the end of the painting.
Like,
honestly.
give me time.
10 or 15.
Just make sure there's no double chin showing.
You got it.
Yeah, there's a.
Can you flash?
Yeah, there is no post here.
There's no Photoshop in the video, but like in the painting,
Right.
Adam could give you the facelift.
There you go.
Well, I always work to idealize everyone's beauty as much as I can, and as much as I need to with such a loose portrait and sort of like a block-in stage. I don't really need to.
I'm curious to see what it is.
I am curious too, but I'm not gonna like even peek. I'm like kind of like.
No, it's a work.
I know you're gonna look very exciting because you have a cool jacket.
Yeah.
Hopefully, well, there's a lot of like.
The way that I prepared this one was more planned, so I did more of a drawing stage, and that really paid off in the end.
Adam, were these flowers the same lady that set up that altar at your art show?
Yeah. So she gives me her trash.
And you make it into
Basically, this florist, a florist. I mean, I'm exaggerating. These are from different altars that we've worked together on, or they're from different extra flowers she's got around her shop from weddings or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I just take them and I just continue to add to this every episode. I add more and more and more.
That's very interesting.
So it's growing over the season, and then I think after 25 episodes, I've talked about
changing
striking
the
the whole thing, starting from scratch and just starting in a completely different thing.
That sounds
But
cool.
that would be fun to kind of separate them and make the paintings look different. Treat it like they're seasons or something too. But yeah, I mean, I like using the.
It's time for me to ask you
dead
a
flowers
question.
quite a bit. They're pretty
Do you
fun.
want to pick
I'll take this one.
this yellow or green?
The yellow.
The cards are almost like the color of your jacket that you're wearing. Definitely. Oh, this one already came. Okay, sorry. This one already happened, so let's shuffle it. And put it again. Alright. Pick again.
This one.
The pink one?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote pink too. Oh boy, another dark one.
That's
I should-
what color is the card?
What's
Is it the
that
red one?
deck?
See, there you go.
Okay.
It's a red card.
I could actually like.
These are gonna be. I think they're coded. In
Yeah.
Some way.
Do you have empathy for those who commit suicide? Why or why not?
I do. I was there myself. I was in a very dark spaces, and I completely understand why they did it. We cannot judge them. It's their choice.
Mm-hmm.
If I could, I'm often saying that humans have less empathy towards other dying and sick humans than animals, because we are putting animals down. We ending up there suffering by euthanizing them. Euthanizing?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And only certain countries in the world they letting you do it. You should
My
have a
country
choice.
is legal.
Oh, is it?
Poland is
Yeah.
not. I think everybody should have a choice of any of the way that it's your freaking life. You deciding. No one will judge you for it. I'm sorry that someone could not help you. Maybe you could be helped. But certain people, you just can't help them.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I had these thoughts back in the day often, and then thanks myself, thanks God, whoever out there is responsible for my decisions, I bounce back, and I don't even think of this twice anymore. Like I said, I'm grateful for what things I have, and I have a lot of things to live for, and I'm happy for them, and I'm not there anymore, but who knows what's gonna happen. Maybe a year from now I will be there.
Possible.
So no one can judge me.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
We work in cycles.
Yeah, it's weird how I found out that my country, the euthanasia was legal. My mom was, like dying. I got a call I got like the worst call. Like this week was probably the worst one, the week that she died. But like my brother calls me up and says like, she had been in the hospital for a procedure. And then that's when the doctor came to her and told her that she was like terminal. And they asked her what she wanted to do, and she said, I want to die.
Yeah.
And like, so she was like in an ethical committee, like where they decided like because it's all like legal, right? Like that they approved her for euthanasia, which was, when my brother called me and told me this, I was like, oh, one, I didn't know that she had this in her mind. And two, like, I didn't even know that this was legal. So I was kind of like, I go fly there like on a Wednesday, and then she dies next day. She doesn't die by suicide. She doesn't die by the euthanasia because like
she just didn't make it.
She just didn't make it. But like obviously I had like empathy for her because she was so sick and she was done with life. She actually, in the time when she was sick, she meditated the fuck out of her, like of what was going on with her life, and she realized that she wasn't gonna make it, and she wanna be like asked to prolong her life and her sickness. Like she died on her own terms. We didn't have to like go through that because I couldn't imagine having to like see that. But like if that would have happened, I would have still been like, well, this is what she wants to do. She wants to die in her own terms and not be suffering. And I understand like, well, this is like, for if you're sick, but like I understand why people come to the end of the road where they feel they have no hope and they don't want to live.
Yeah.
It's everybody's life and it's their own decision, right?
It's crazy how many famous people are doing. So the guy from the Soundgarden, what's his name?
Chris Cornell, right?
Cornell, Anthony Bourdain, like the people.
Anthony Bourdain was like the one that I was like, because we used to say with my husband, oh my God, he's got the best job. He gets to travel, talk to people, kind of like this, plus adding food.
What demons are you
What
fighting?
demons were you fighting? Like, wow, that was a shocker.
So I typically, whenever like celebrity dies, people are like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Like, I don't know you. Like, I do feel bad. I have empathy for it. But for some reason, when Anthony Bourdain pulled out this trigger, I was like, holy shit. You know who also was like that? Kate Flint from The Prodigy.
Oh yeah, did he die by suicide?
He killed himself.
Wow.
And The Prodigy, the fire starter.
Oh, he was so good.
He's the singer of the band?
Yeah, he was a singer.
Okay.
And I'm like, why? Why Kate Flint? He was such a outgoing, entertaining, but I guess maybe he felt like he's a clown of the group, I don't know. But that
we're not
was
in his head or in his shoes to know what's going on.
Yeah. These Anthony Bourdain and Kate Flint, for some reason, I was like, maybe because I really liked them and I grew up with The Prodigy. That was one of the bands I really liked back in the day. Before the fire started. Yeah, they've been around since 1991.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time. All right, let's see what the cards say.
All right, this
Tarot
would be...
reader. Wait a second. So now I'm picking one for you.
Oh yes, I'm just shuffling so I don't
This
end
will
up
be
like...
the last card,
Okay.
because I think
Cards Against
I've only got one more thing I'm going to work on.
So wait, the
Don't
pink
pink
ones
pink. It seems like the pink has
Shit,
like...
see, now I
Yeah.
want it. All right, let's do it safe. Let's do green one here. Okay, so I'll read it for you.
Okay.
What's missing from the current standardized academic curriculum?
Oh my God! What a boring.
You-
I don't know. I want to
Skip
skip
it.
that. That's a boring.
I
question.
could talk a lot about it because my son is in
Oh,
school
yeah,
right now and they're
okay.
teaching him how to
Sure.
multiply
So I don't.
So
by
you-
squares and circles. I was like, Henry, what is this shit? Just 12 times 7, carry on, and that takes you 5 seconds. Nope, they had to draw the graph with the squares inside. I'm like, dude, I could brew coffee, walk the dog, come back, you'll be still doing this. So yeah. But yeah, let's pick another card. That's
That was a
crazy.
good take on it.
Yeah, I'm like standardized. I'm like, I haven't
Yeah.
been in school forever.
I wouldn't even know
Okay,
where to go.
pick the card.
Last
Tell
time.
you, go with the pink one.
No. Last time you picked what color was it?
Green.
Let's go for blue.
Okay. So that's your question here.
Yes.
Think of 3 people you spend the most time with. What do they all have in common?
That I have good conversations with them.
Okay.
Different conversations, but all good conversations. Well, obviously my husband. I spend a lot of time with different people in different varying degrees, right? Like sometimes physical, or sometimes on the phone, or sometimes by email, right? Another friend of mine that I spend a lot of time talking with, we just have good conversations. Like, it's funny, I've never met her. She's like a pen pal that,
That's fun.
right? That I've actually collaborated and worked for, shooting stuff for her. But we've been friends for years, so like, and that's kind of like the most time that I ever dedicate to a person is a person that I could talk a lot with. Like, not like surface talk, like how are you, whatever. It's like deep, meaningful, right? It takes time to cultivate friendships. So like, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. Well, I could call this done,
All right.
or I could keep painting.
Up to you both.
Up to you.
I would rather call it done because I don't want to overwork it.
And I'm
I've made
down
it
here
kind
with
of
that.
nice.
See, I killed it.
Look at that perfect timing.
That was easy.
Can we
Cool.
see it?
Do you want to do the reveal? You can come and see it.
Yes. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. I almost feel like you have to walk in like blind. Oh, that is awesome! I love it.
Oh, nice. Cute.
That is
Oh my
really,
goodness.
really cute.
That's
Yeah,
really
a nice
cool.
one.
Yep. Nice.
I like how you portrayed her. I'm like they're kind of like in olive, even though I'm in
Like-
black.
Nice. Oh, and the boots.
And I could recognize myself too. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. So.
That is
Good
super
job.
dope.
Thanks.
What else did you portray? You have the bottle of wine. I have like the LaCroix there. I'm like here cross. You're like,
But look at your coat.
yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah,
See,
that's a good choice.
I thought about you. It's
Pretty
like you
awesome.
probably wanted like something like
Yeah, that's
graphic.
Very, very cool.
Oh my god!
Really nice.
Can I take a photo of it?
Sure. I'll
Can you
send
pass me
a
my
bigger
phone?
one.
Oh, I want to follow it too then.
I didn't bring my camera. Which
I
is
didn't
a
know
shame.
that we can.
Well, you're still on camera. This is the end of the episode.
Oh.
What's the address here? For John. 24.
Here, I'll text it, or I'll type it. I don't want to say it on camera.
Oh, okay. sorry.
That's so cool. Good job.
Hey, thanks.
Oh,
I did my best.
That's pretty cool. The fact that I can recognize me and recognize her, like,
That's a.
good
That's a
job,
winning
Adam.
Thanks.
Even Benny's kind of like, they're like, yay, teamwork.
All right. Makes
That's
the dream
awesome.
work.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Makes the brain work. You have another someone else after us today?
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
At
What
4
time?
4 o'clock.
Oh, we should.
So that's painting everybody episode whatever.